The audio I'm about to play you is the most important thing you're going to hear today. It's not going to sound like it's the most important thing you're going to hear today, but it is the most important thing you're going to hear today. This is Fareed Zakaria on CNN.
I have to admit, none of this is playing out as I thought it would. Trump is now leading in almost all the swing states, but behind those numbers lie even more troubling details. As someone worried about the prospects of a second Trump term, I think it's best to be honest about reality. I understand that polls are not always accurate, but in general, they have tended to underestimate Donald Trump's support, not overestimate it. I doubt that there are many shy Biden voters in the country. The economy has been in a robust recovery for more than 2 years now, with unemployment hitting a 54-year low in 2023 and increasing only slightly since then. But Biden is getting little credit for it. The shift here is stark. On the question of who voters trust more to deal with the economy, Trump has a 22-point lead over Biden, according to an NBC poll from January. This marks a 15-point bump for Trump compared to the same poll in 2020. Perhaps this is because inflation is a far more pervasive problem than unemployment, affecting all Americans every day. Perhaps it's because people's views on the economy now are largely derived from their broader attitudes towards the candidates. But whatever the reasons, it's a stunning reversal in the midst of a relentless stream of good economic news. On cultural issues, Biden and Democrats benefit from the opposition to the Republican Party's position on abortion. But on the other great cultural issue, immigration, Biden is 35 points behind Trump as to who would handle it better.
Why is this the most important audio to be played today? Because he goes on from there for several more minutes about how bad it is for Joe Biden. And how, however unfortunate it may be, the reality is that the winds have shifted dramatically against Joe Biden. Fareed Zakaria is, in fact, the one news voice Joe Biden listens to. Fareed Zakaria got a rare interview with Joe Biden because Joe Biden's such a big fan. In fact, people in Washington say if it appears on Fareed Zakaria's show, Joe Biden pays attention to it, and it's about the only show in Washington where that's true. In fact, Joe Biden talks to other people about what he sees on the show. So for Fareed Zakaria to know he has the president's ears and the president's eyes, and to launch his show with Joe Biden, whether it's your fault or not, you're losing to Donald Trump. That's a really big deal, because for Fareed Zakaria to be the one to do it matters based on who watches. The man he was talking to, he has an audience of one. And Fareed Zakaria wants Joe Biden to know things aren't going your way. In fact, it's brutal, and there doesn't appear to be a way out right now. Joe Biden over the weekend told an audience in California that he doesn't believe the polling, and that regardless, the momentum is shifting in his direction. That's not something a winner says.
Look, these Sunbelt battleground states, frankly, for the Joe Biden campaign, these numbers are an absolute disaster. The smallest lead is in Arizona for Donald Trump. He's up 6. Look at this, 9 in Georgia, 13 in Nevada. My goodness gracious, my God. That is a huge lead. No Democrat has lost that state since John Kerry lost it back in 2004. How about these Great Lake battleground states? This is something that the Joe Biden campaign can work with. Look, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump up 3, but that's well within the margin of error. Wisconsin, Donald Trump up 1, well within the margin of error. And actually, a Joe Biden lead, well within the margin of error, up a point here. This they can work with the Joe Biden campaign. This, the Donald Trump campaign, absolutely loves, and it looks like a lot of the other polling on the Sunbelt battlegrounds.
When you're looking into the numbers, why do you think Biden is doing better in the Great Lakes and Trump is doing so much better in the Sunbelt?
Yeah, the Trump coalition is changing. That's basically what's cooking here. This is at least one of the big reasons why. So this is among likely voters in all these battleground states we just spoke about. Back in 2020, 84% of the Trump campaigns, the Trump coalition was white. Look where it is now. It's 78%. The non-white portion of the Trump coalition, it was 13% in 2020. Look at this now. it's 19%. So the Trump coalition is becoming more diverse. And of course, those Sun Belt battleground states are more diverse than the Great Lake battleground states.
You're looking at the Nevadas and the Arizonas here.
Of course, if you look at Nevada, Arizona, heavy Hispanic population, Georgia, heavily African-American population, with the Michigan does have some black voters in it, but Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are heavily, heavily white.
That's very interesting. Okay, add it all up. What does this say about where the race stands right now? We're talking Electoral College and the race to 270.
Yeah, the race to 270. It's advantage Donald Trump, but he's not over the 270 mark just yet, all right? So if we flip Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia here in your lighter shades of pink, you add them to the states, and of course the 2nd Congressional District up in Maine, which Donald Trump won last time around, that gets him to 268 electoral votes. If we keep Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania in the too close to call category, along with Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District, Joe Biden at 225. So it's advantage Donald Trump, but Joe Biden does at this point have a path to 270.
Yeah, and right now, as you're pointing out, neither.
Yeah.
Neither there.
Neither there.
And we have a long road to it
Yes,
still.
we do.
Yes, it's the white people of the North who are turning out for Joe Biden. In fact, if Biden wins Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, he's going to win the Electoral College 270 to 268 if Donald Trump wins all the other swing states. But in a race that close, can you be sure? Okay, here's the problem. If Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy, Democrats, can you really take a chance on Joe Biden? Can you really take a chance on Joe Biden as the nominee if Donald Trump is the existential threat to democracy that you say he is? Donald Trump is ahead in the popular vote, according to New York Times, Sienna, and the polling averages. He's winning in the polling averages in the swing states. Right now, Donald Trump has an electoral college advantage over Joe Biden. Can you really take the chance if he is an existential threat to democracy? Now, it's true. There is optimism for Joe Biden. If Joe Biden is ahead in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, if he wins those states, he wins the Electoral College, even if Trump wins Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. It's true. But when you actually look at the Electoral College polling average, Trump is ahead in all but, I think, Wisconsin. Can you really take a chance? This is not good news for the Democrats. And here's the problem. We're headed towards Memorial Day. You get towards Memorial Day, you get into the summer thing, things kind of lock in place. Now, of course, we all remember in 2022, there was a massive red wave coming. And in August, by the time Supreme Court decisions had settled in, things went upside down for the GOP, and they actually won the popular vote. They won the House. It was kind of a Schrodinger's wave. It happened if you didn't look at it. It didn't happen if you looked at it. In parts of the country, Republicans weren't expected to do well in. They did well. New York and California, for example. In other parts of the nation, they didn't do that well, and overall, they barely won the House. They didn't get the Senate. I guess the Democrats can reassure themselves with that. But can you really take the chance if Donald Trump really is the existential threat? Can you really take the chance? I don't know if you can. They're going to have to try. Now, there are a lot of people out today say, I guess Joe's going to be booted. He's not going to be the nominee. You know, we can all look at that and say, if the Democrats really believe Trump's the existential threat to democracy, Joe Biden needs to step aside, give the Democrats a fighting chance. But I don't know that that's going to happen. I think the Democrats are so arrogant, Joe Biden's team in particular, is so arrogant, they're not going to do that. They're not going to jump ship. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has a 100,000 person crowd in New Jersey. In New Jersey, he's got a massive crowd. If Donald Trump is found not guilty, I mean, MSNBC and the like, they're all playing down now the chances of a conviction in this trial. MSNBC openly critical now of the prosecutor in the New York case. They love the salaciousness. Michael Cohen on the stand today, we'll get into it in a little bit. They love the salaciousness of it. But can they really take the chance on this? I don't know that they can or they should. I think they're going to. The media, you know, is going to do everything possible to try to do a Joe Biden as the comeback kid narrative. But the bounce that Joe Biden had for a little bit has faded back to Trump wins and Trump winning most of the polling. Again, the Real Clear Politics polling average is kind of telling here for where we are as a nation right now in the polling situation. Trump is up 1.2 points. Morning Consult, he's up 1, Biden up 2 in the tip poll. ABC News up, Biden's up 1, he's up 2 in the tip poll. 4 in the Harvard-Harris for Trump poll, 2 for Biden in the NPR poll. CNN, Trump's up 6. We haven't even gotten into the New York Times Sienna College poll because it was just the swing state polling. But in the swing state polling, it's just not good. Trump's up in the polling average for Wisconsin. He's up in Michigan. He's up 2 in Pennsylvania. He's up pretty secure in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Arizona, in Nevada. Trump is up everywhere. The New York Times Sienna poll, it may be an outlier in Nevada because it's got Trump up 13. Nobody else has him up that high. But by the way, they're using likely voters in the polling, people who have a propensity to vote. And among likely voters, and that matters because among likely voters, Trump is blowing Biden out of the water right now. So many people, myself included, predicted among a likely voter pool, the polling would shift to Joe Biden. It's not happening right now. This is brutal for Joe Biden. If Donald Trump is the existential threat, Joe Biden's got to step aside. Fareed Zakaria on CNN, the one show in America, Joe Biden is known to watch it, to digest it, and to discuss it with others. And Fareed Zakaria is telling Joe Biden, this is looking more and more insurmountable for you, Mr. President. It sucks. It's not fair. We don't like Donald Trump, but something's got to happen. And he's telling Joe Biden, you've got to move to the center immediately or else you're going to lose. Will it force a Biden pivot? The Biden team seems to think they need to turn out progressives. They've made a calculation, and it's a calculation that differs greatly from where reality is.